riding on the outcome of these discussions. Let's speak to Jill Rutter, Senior Fellow at UK in a Changing Europe. Hi, Jill. I know that a lot of people will probably sort of glaze over a bit when we talk about the Northern Ireland Protocol, but it is really important. It's really important not just for the people of Northern Ireland, it's really important for the whole way the UK operates, has profound implications for the Prime Minister's position as well. So where do you want to start with this?
Well, we have to remember that this is a bit of Brexit. It's because of Brexit that we bother to talk about the Northern Ireland Protocol, and the reason that we've been in this situation is because Boris Johnson, in October 2019, with his promise to get the UK out of the EU, did a deal with the EU over the Northern Ireland Protocol, but then proceeded to find that deal very unsatisfactory. So having told everybody he had a great deal on that, then when it actually came to be implemented, he and his government decided that deal was no good, and the Democratic Unionist Party in Northern Ireland said it was unacceptable. They rejected it from the start. They always said it was unacceptable, and in a sense they were let down by their allies in the Conservative Party, who had sort of stood shoulder to shoulder with them until Johnson did his deal.
What exactly are the problems with this deal?
So the problem that the deal is trying to solve is, how do you resolve the issue of the UK leaving the single market and the EU's customs union, so putting it outside the EU's regulatory and customs framework, without introducing a hard border in the island of Ireland. You'll remember going back to very early on, Theresa May's Lancaster House speech in early 2017, where she said there wouldn't be a return to a hard border in Northern Ireland. That's been one of the sort of few areas that both sides have always agreed on. But what they've been trying to do ever since 2017, and it's 2023 now, so it's taken quite a long time, is to work out how, if you do that, you reconcile the UK's desire to diverge from EU regulation with the EU's desire to protect what it calls the integrity of the single market. So to make sure that goods pay the right tariffs, but also meet their regulatory standards if they're circulating in the Republic of Ireland, still in the single market, and potentially into the rest of the EU.
So what solutions are they coming up with that might sort all this out?
So the original solution was to effectively move the EU border for goods, only for goods, into the Irish Sea. And I think one of the things that rather shocked the British government was that the EU wanted the UK government to operate that border almost like any other third country full international border. And people were saying, well, look, the Northern Ireland economy is A, pretty small, but B, much more integrated into the rest of the UK. Lots of goods into Northern Ireland are supplied from Great Britain, so from England, Scotland or Wales. So what the solution seems to be, and this is only part of it, but on the goods traffic, it seems to be that they've moved towards what was a UK proposal, that at the border you would differentiate, so goods going into Northern Ireland, if they were staying in Northern Ireland and could pretty much be guaranteed to be staying in Northern Ireland, they would go through a green channel with no checks. We don't know whether it's no checks that's been agreed, because the EU proposed something they called an express lane with fewer checks. So we don't know whether it's no or fewer, but there'd be a green lane for goods that are going to stay in Northern Ireland, and it would only be goods that were at risk of going into the wider EU market, so into the Republic or beyond, that would go through a red lane and be subject to the sort of full battery of EU checks. So it looks like there is some landing zone around there.
That's where they're heading. Jill, thank you so much for helping to explain all that. Jill Rutter, Senior Fellow at UK in a Changing Europe. So no doubt the text of whatever agreement